Let's Sip and Talk with Freema. Today we have on Michael Teague. He's actually a cougar along with me. He lived in Harlem, I believe it is, and then he came down to the South around seventh grade, if I'm not mistaken. And now he is in a successful business. He's in the sales industry, and I just want to pick his brain because I know it takes a certain type of individual to be a salesperson. You got to have that drive, you got to have that oomph, you got to have a certain type of mentality. So we're going to dig in with Michael T, as we call him, and see how he was able to transition, how he became successful, and all those good things that comes along with it. And again, thank you guys for tuning in. I really do appreciate it on this great Sunday. And you know what I asked? Did y'all cook anything good today? I didn't cook anything at all. Did I cook breakfast? No. I didn't cook anything. My kids are a little older, so they're able to, go in the kitchen and do their thing. However, once we finish here, I will go pick up something, for them to eat. I just haven't decided exactly what that would be. So we're just waiting for Mike T to join us, and then we'll go ahead and add him on. But did anyone cook today or anything? No one cooked? Anybody buying anything? Give me some suggestions on what I should buy for dinner, because I don't feel like cooking. Hello, Melvin. Melvin said hello, everyone. So we're just waiting on, I'm going to send you a request and see. Oh, you know what I need to do too? Cut my thing down, my ringer. Give me one moment. All right, so he should be on shortly. With Let's Sip and Talk with Freema, even though I'm not on that actual page, but hopefully the individuals that always come on with us are on. I broke my tripod. I don't know how I did it. I'm so clumsy. So thanks to the donations, I can go purchase another. And then also there's this app that James Patterson was telling me about. So kudos to James for sharing that. I'm going to purchase that so we'll be able to be more... I don't know. I know I'm about to sound crazy when I say this news-like. I don't know where the names can come up and all that good stuff. So we're going to try something new over the next week or two. So just bear with us. Thank you guys for your donations. It's greatly appreciated. I'm able to upgrade a little bit. I'm at Walmart. I want cold cuts for dinner. That sounds good. That sounds good, Melvin. I might do me a sub or something for dinner. Michael Teague, if you're on, I don't see you on, honey. We're just waiting for you. I sent you a request. So I'm just waiting for you to come on so I'm able to add you. But yeah, if you like what I'm doing, make sure you send donations to the Cash App, Let's Sip and Talk. And I think I have a request from him. Fingers crossed, people. Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Hey, Miss Jeffrey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So, before we begin, I want to make sure no one hears any echoing or nothing crazy going on. Somebody give us a thumbs up to make sure we're good. Mike, you can hear me well on your end?
I can hear you.
Okay. All right. So I was telling them a little about you. How we were able to meet. You came down. They can see you really good. It's probably feel like your head chopped off because it's two screens, but they still can see you. I was telling them a little how you came down, kind of seventh grade, and now that you're successful. And I did tell them that it takes a special kind of person to be in the industry that you're in. You got to have a certain type of drive, motivation, and all that good stuff. So, Mike, if you don't mind, tell us a little about yourself.
All right. Well, I mean, successful, I guess it's different levels of success. So
It
I,
is.
I don't really want to kind of give myself that total credit at this time. And I explained to you why. I believe that, as long as I still keep the mindset of not being exactly where I want to be. It just pushes my drive to continue to do more. So I try not to just jump straight into that. But anyway, originally from Harlem, New York, but I moved down here, as you know, in the 7th grade. So that was kind of a real transition. Um, so after that point, I just adopted the South Carolina personality, and I mean, from the into the car business, I always say that I took my Southern hospitality that I learned since I've been out here and mixed it with my Harlem hustle and just made it into a career. So that's kind of that's kind of my motto behind what I'm doing. But as far as originally from, like I said, Harlem, New York, my it goes a little bit deeper as far as like my upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
My biological mom, who basically I didn't really know her. She passed away when I was like 7 years old. But
Oh.
living in that, yeah, but that's cool. But living in that time, in Harlem, heroin and crack was kind of like the new was kind of like the new opioid. So nobody really kind of understood the drug. So nobody really understand the drug. They just tested it out, and she happened to be a victim to one that tested it out. That kind of put her in a position to where she contracted HIV. And when she contracted HIV, she then passed away.
Okay.
So my my dad took us in when I was about 5 years old, and we moved, and we actually were born in the Bronx, but we were actually raised in Harlem. So when I at 5 years old, I moved to Harlem, and then just kind of just navigating my way through. I have four sisters that was actually living with me at the time, and my father, and just growing up in that environment at the time it was life, but you know, I didn't think I didn't even think it was bad. So, but as growing up, I realized that it probably wasn't the best situation. I mean, seeing people murdered,
Mm-hmm.
or just and even with elementary school, at during that time it was a real struggle because in Harlem at that time, the schools was overpopulated. So the schools being overpopulated, regardless if you passed or not, they just promoted you because the classes would then be there'd be too many kids in one class. So I struggled, I mean, tremendously when I moved to the South because I was behind in reading. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I was behind in math, so I had to really kind of buckle down and kind of adjust to learning. And that created the cram thing to where anything that I wanted, I just had to cram it in to figure it out before that test came along to learn how to do. I mean, to pass or whatever.
Right.
So so that's kind of a little bit of the background of my childhood. But as far as the car business, I mean, I guess you can ask questions because
Yeah. So
I don't know.
I do want to ask you before you actually move on to the car business. When you kind of a culture shock for you, did that tend to make you want to act out because you felt you were kind of behind or anything, or you kind of held strong and did what you had to do? How did it make you feel as a child? That had to move to something totally different.
You good at this. That was a great question. All right. So when I first got down here, man, it was listen, real talk. My first friend down here was rest in
Okay.
crazy. I, so anyway, rest in peace, Chris. Um, when I got to when I got to Edisto, it was a big culture shock because I grew up in a mixed culture. Like far as like living in Harlem, it's Puerto Ricans, blacks, whites, it's everything. But when I came to Edisto, first of all, y'all had a yellow bus, and you take that yellow bus to a damn school with gates around it. And then when you get into school at lunchtime, you segregated. You segregate yourselves.
Yep.
Like the blacks sit on one side, the whites sit on the other. So off top, I was like, yo, this is some racist stuff. I'm
Yep.
not really about this life. And then it was the yes ma'am, yes sir. I really wasn't about that either. So I struggled with in their eyes of respect because I wasn't saying yes man, yes ma'am, or yes sir. Because I'm already put in a situation where I'm not. It's already looking like we're separated. So you want to install into me a slave mentality of saying yes, ma'am, yes, sir, and I'm like, nah. So I'm rebelling and getting written up behind it, or getting discipline, or getting, discipline behind it. And that kind of just, pushed me farther back, because now the teachers didn't want to really teach me, or didn't feel as if I respected them, to where now I'm a discipline problem.
Right.
So it definitely was a culture shock.
Wow, wow. Yeah, I didn't know all of that, as far as the difference with the yes ma'am, no ma'am, and looking at it from your point of view, because we all did sit together at lunchtime, and and the whites sat together, the blacks sat together. So it was normal for us. But looking at it from your point of view, I could see how you felt that way. I never thought of it that way. Wow, wow, wow. I never thought of it that
That
way.
was definitely different.
Yeah, so to a little more positive, things or whatever. So did you see yourself, in, I don't know, was it ninth, 10th grade? The guidance counselor maybe asked us, what do you want to do? Did you see yourself going down the road that you are at now? Like, what drove you to that?
Nah, I didn't see myself going into the road that I'm in now. Like, as far as, well, let's say ninth, 10th grade, 11th grade. I never made it to 11th grade.
Wait, come
You
out.
didn't know?
Huh? What you mean?
Yeah, I never made it. Remember, I don't know if you remember, we were supposed to graduate together, but we didn't graduate together. Do you remember that?
Wow. Mike, without telling our age, that was kind of a decade or so ago. I didn't never realize that. Are you serious? Wow.
Listen, so when I got to high school, as I told you, I struggled tremendously moving down here, because I was so far behind. So when I got to high school, I didn't have the. I'm gonna shout out to Mrs. Wright. Mrs. Wright, Sherry's mother.
Yes, yes.
So Sherry's mother in middle school used to tutor me after school all the time, and that's when I was in middle school. So now when I got to high school, because that's how I got through middle school.
Gotcha.
That's how I got to high school. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now when I got to high school, well, my hormones started to change. I'm really interested in other things other than just school.
Right.
And I was already kind of behind. So now I'm really behind, because I'm chasing the wrong thing instead of chasing the right thing. So and then at Edisto we had the 8A B-Day thing.
Right.
So where, like, if you get behind in any way in one class, that it's just gonna roll. It's just gonna roll over. So I never passed ninth grade. I never passed. And I got into 10th grade when y'all was in 11th grade. So I failed because I had classes that I was behind in. You got me? So now when y'all was going to graduate, I knew that I didn't have no way to graduate. I was too far behind. So I knew that if I stayed there, it was going to be too tough for me to actually even try to finish. And then my dad came to school. Who was the guidance counselor at that time? Do you remember? Her name was Mrs. Pinckney.
Miss Pinckney. Right, Miss Pinckney.
All right. So listen to this. So my dad came to school. She hit me up, and my dad came to school because Miss Pinckney called a parent conference. So when she called the parent conference, Miss Pinckney said to my dad, like, I don't think your son is going to make it out of high school. So what we need to be doing is we're paying him for a job corps. So my dad is a disciplinary. Like, he wasn't big on education, but he was real big on discipline. So he said to Miss Pinckney, I don't give a damn. My son ain't dropping out. He ain't going to no job corps, so y'all need to figure it out. And when I heard that kind of ignited something in me, because I never heard my dad talk about education in any way.
Right.
Or him wanting me to graduate. So that just lit a flare up in me. So at that time, as I told you, I was going to graduate, you guys. So I had to figure a way to graduate. So y'all graduated, and instead of me staying at Edisto, I transferred to OW. So now I'm now a junior at this time where y'all graduated. You got me? In OW had a block schedule, 8A B-Day. And then when I got there, shout out to Mrs. Firstner. Mrs. Firstner took me in her office when I first got there, and she looked at my transcript. Now, you got the 4.0s, the 3.0s. The 2.0s, y'all was like a -5.
Oh, no. I didn't know that. Oh, God.
I was so far behind. So Ms. Pinckney looked at the paper and threw it up and said, don't worry about this. We're going to focus on you right now. you behind, but you can catch up and you can graduate this year if you do the things that I tell you to do. And before this, I actually went to summer school to get 2 more classes to be considered a junior, but I just needed 8 credits to graduate. So when I got to OW, they had the A-Day, B-Day thing. And that means you saw the same teacher every day.
Right.
You got me?
Mm-hmm.
So when you see the same teacher every day, it was easy to me because I cannot forget. I cannot get behind because if the same teacher's on me every day about my homework, I ain't got no choice but to bring it in.
Right.
So anyway, I then end up just passing all the classes, getting my 8 credits, and I graduated the year behind. So I didn't graduate with you guys.
I don't see how I missed that, Mike. Wow.
I did well.
Wow, that tells you I don't be in people's business too much. I be in my own zone. But I want to commend you, for even sharing that because honestly, I don't know how I missed that. I don't know how I missed it. And to be honest with you, Mike, I never even seen you. I never knew you were falling behind. I never knew you were struggling. Like I always saw this positive young man, and I'm speaking from now. You get what I'm saying? I always saw this positive young man who had it together. Like you put on a great face. I must say, you really did.
And I tell you, I live by that though. Like I always say, social media, nobody's really your friend. Everybody is an audience and it's entertaining. Mm-hmm. So to be as entertaining as it is, people want you to win, but a great bit of people don't want you to succeed. So with them not wanting you to succeed, my drive and my energy comes from knowing that I feel like everybody's watching me. So before you see me fall, you're gonna see me die. So I would never put out anything that's negative. That's why you never see any negative things on my posts or on my comments. I try my best to keep positive energy. And I live off of positive energy. Like I believe if you put out, I believe what you put out is what you get back.
Absolutely.
Real talk. One story real quick. I saw a friend from high school. And ever since high school, he was talking. Every time I see him, he's talking negative. When I saw him this time, just probably about 3 weeks ago, dang, man, Mike, I broke my finger. Shit going. And I'm like, yo, B, like, in my mind, I'm like, yo, I believe that you speaking all this bad stuff on yourself. So as long as you speak good things and you always think positive things happen.
Right. So I strongly agree. It doesn't hurt to be positive. Like, why do we have to feed this negative energy or put this negative energy out there, in the world? To me, so Mike, I mentioned as far as what motivated you or what got you to where you are today. What woke you up and say, hey, you know what? I want to be the best car salesman out there because you're damn good at it, Mike. So like, what drove you to do that?
Just God's grace, man. Like ever since I was a kid, I always stopped and dodging raindrops. So, from growing up the way I grew up, I've never been in positions where I've been shot. I've never been molested. I've never had anything go in my life that should have probably happened in my life. Mm-hmm. And God has just always just put me in the right places at the right time. And it had nothing to do with me. Like I don't really take the credit for any success that I have. I always put it on God. I mean, and then on top of it, I got a praying mom too. Well, my stepmom is a part of my life, right. And ever since I was a kid, ever since I moved down south, and I got into this business, she prayed over me and she said, everything I touch is gonna turn to gold. So with everything I touch and everywhere I go, it tends to things tend to happen, and I don't take the credit for it. I mean, I'm always put in environments where I have good coworkers, right, that kind of compliment me, and I compliment them. And I really believe in working hard because, like I said, in my mind, I'm broke. I'm not successful. At any given day, things can change. Things can turn around. So I'm still living. I'm still living like you living. I'm not no different from the next person. I just found a career that's fruitful to me, mm-hmm. And I don't know anything else. that's what it is. That's what keeps me going.
Yeah, but it takes a certain type. Like, I'm gonna be honest, Mike. Before doing what I was doing previously, well, what I'm doing now, and previously, I was a mission coordinator. Prior to that, I was in sales. You know, and that's not me, because the first no I get, or the first, nah, let me think about it, I'm leaving you alone. I'm never coming back to you. You know, so it takes a certain type of person to be able to sell a product, or you know, like interact with individuals and all a plethora of personalities. You get what I'm saying? So it takes a certain type.
All right, so I get your question now. All right, so sales is education. Back in the days, it was sales. So now you're no longer selling. You're always educating. Once I educate you on something, you become interested in it.
Gotcha.
And once you're interested in it, I no longer have to encourage you.
Okay.
I lay back. Something in your brain. This is just experience. Something in your brain kicks off, and it's endorphins. It's no different than getting high. You ever went into a shoe store and tried on some shoes, and then the shoes that you have on right now look old as hell?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the same thing. So in the car business, the transfer of energy is even deeper, because now your decision is a decision for your safety, for your reliability, for your way of life, or how you're gonna continue to feed yourself, or get to wherever you need to get to. So it's an easy transition. So at one point, it was about a grind. Like, okay, well, I need to be there. I need to get in front of people to make decisions. And then it became more of a psychology. I don't have to do all of that, because I know that you came in for a reason. Even if you say no, that means that you're saying no to something that I need to find out why. I always say to people, because I train my salespeople, the new people that I get all the time. And I always say, it's like, finding out what a customer is not interested in is always a tough way. It's always tough, because it's kind of like asking your girlfriend or asking your wife. And it's like asking my fiance,
Right.
what's wrong? When I ask her what's wrong, she say what?
Nothing.
Damn right. So now when she say nothing, I can go right at her. I can go right at her and say, what do you mean nothing's wrong? Like, I know something wrong. I know you. I know when you're not feeling good. You need to tell me what's wrong with you.
Right.
So with a customer, is different. I can't ask that question.
Right.
Because if I ask that question, they're going to feel as if I'm being intrusive. They're going to feel as if I'm invading their personal space. So now I have to find a way. But when they come up with an objection and say, well, I want to think about it, I have to find what they need to think about. So I always understand and acknowledge, okay, well, I understand you need to think about it. So what you thinking about it, tell me this. I always try to get a yes out of the no before I go into finding out what's wrong. So tell me this. Do you like, what'd you think about the car? Well, I liked it. Okay, well, great. And then I go back to the numbers and figure out, well, what is wrong with the numbers without asking them what they need to think about. Because eventually they're going to tell me, well, I don't think you're giving me enough of my trade. Well, I think the payments are too high. Well, I think the price is too high. And once you give me any of those objections, you got me? I now know what you need to think about. And I now need to figure out, how can I help you out to make this transaction more comfortable for you? So the idea of what you're telling me about, you got in the sales, when somebody says no, you turn off. All right. So my idea with you, if you was in sales with me, I would say, instead of you turning off, you need to turn on. Because that means they have an interest in something. It may not be that.
Right.
They're here for a reason.
Right.
You just have to, it's no different than anything else. Like in life, you just have to push past the obstacles. And that's kind of how it happens.
So, Mike, I remember, I don't know if this was a couple of years ago, where you held up a poster board. You were saying, what exactly was it? You were giving hugs. You were doing something with this poster board.
It was free hugs. I started this nonprofit organization called Pushing for a Purpose. That's what happened.
Pushing for a purpose.
And, Pushing for a Purpose. That was literally like one day I was in the house, and me and my fiance, we were talking, and I said, I want to do something to give back. I felt as if I was making decent money, and I felt as if, you know, it was people that's less fortunate than me that I can look out for. And I remember being a child that was less fortunate in some instances. So I came up with this thing called, and I woke up one day, I was cutting the grass, and I said, you know, I can to give back. I don't want to really just give it straight in my pocket.
Right.
I want to start to do something to make the money to give back, because in that way it would have more purpose. So when I'm giving this money out, I'm emotional about it. I'm really serious about it, because it's not coming from the, I felt as if the easy money I was making at work. This shit came from, because you know, as people think, car salesmen, they just sit behind they sit behind a desk. They don't really do any manual labor. So I said, well, I'm gonna put some manual. I'm gonna get in my pushing lawnmower. And at this time, I had, so I'm gonna get my pushing lawnmower and put it in the back of my Mercedes, in the trunk of my Mercedes, and go to people's houses and let them know, like, hey, I want to cut your grass, but the money that you give me is going straight to a donation to a less fortunate kid, and the minimum donation is $10. I learned real fast. People cheat, me. Like I was going up to big yards, and they was like, all right, I'll pay $10. I'm like, yo. So I now start to know who's knowing that. So I stopped knocking on big yards' doors. Anybody with a big yard, I wouldn't knock on their door. So anyway, I started to So when I would make up to $500, when I then would make $500, I would then take that money and I would go to a school and I would ask the school, can I sponsor one of the kids? The requirements were that they wrote a letter and tell me what they would do with the $500, but not knowing that they're going to get it. They had to. They basically had to be. They couldn't have any disciplinary issues at that time, and they had to be in the and they have to be in the ninth grade, because the ninth grade, you in that transition of you really can't work.
Yeah.
Because you're too young, you know. And also another requirement was that that they were less fortunate, that the teachers saw some of their struggles. So then I would get the blessings from the school, and they would the letters would come to me, and whichever letter touched my heart is the child that I would look out for, and that's kind of what it was. But the free hugs was just a part of it. The free hugs was just one day I woke up and I had this organization. I said, you know what? I saw the free hugs online. What from that other guy? I don't remember his name. And I tell you how it happened. I ended up going downtown with Waters, whatever. And this day was a Klan rally.
A Klan rally? KKK?
Klan rally. KKK.
Wow.
And I didn't even know it. I swear I didn't even know it. I just went down there to give to give out bottled waters and give free hugs. Next thing you know, I'm hugging all type of people. And the cops gave me a hug. When the cop gave me a hug, he embraced me. I almost cried. I said, damn, this is deep.
Yeah. Wow. So did anybody approach you on a negative level, being that you were out there? Really?
Great question. I got so much hate emails or messages to my inbox from it being shared, because, you know, our people sometimes don't support that. You know, they support, they figure, you know, you being a you know, you being, what do you call it? What do you call it? Like when they call you something that, when you sucking up to the white man.
Being an ass kisser, or I don't know, a sellout, a sellout.
Correct. Like I'm being a sellout or something. And real talk, like I didn't even know that was going on. But regardless of me not knowing it was going on, if I knew it was going on, it wouldn't change anything.
Right.
I don't believe in. I definitely. I understand that there's races out that there are people that's racist. But I also believe that there's good people, and I believe that there's bad people. In my mind, 80% of the world is bad. The 20% is good. So regardless of the 80% that's bad, regardless of the color, it's 20% that's good. And that's the only people that I'm really trying to encounter with. If you're negative, if you're bad, that's cool, you be that. So I don't really have a color theory in my mind. So when you call me a coon or a sellout, that's cool. I'm just a good dude in my mind. So I don't care about the color or anything else. So yeah, I got a lot of negative stuff from that. But it was cool. I love them still.
Yeah, yeah. Like you say, I agree with that 100%. And me and my friends talk about that all the time. You know, you can be a good person, and I don't know how to say this. You can be a good person to me, but if I realize you're not such a somebody else. And when I say a good person, I don't necessarily mean like financially or anything of that sort, but I mean just treating people as they should be treated. Or I see that you do kind of sideways things to other people, but you're treating me awesome. I still have an issue with that because you're not as who you portray to be. You get what I'm saying? So that plays a part. Mike, I want to ask you, and you don't have to answer this question if you don't want to. What are your thoughts on everything that is going on, has been going on with this whole Black Lives Matter, or you know, with the police brutality? Again, you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but what's going through your head at a time like this?
Yeah, I say it all the time. Like, I feel it all the time. Like I said, there's 80% of the people out there that's bad, and there's 20% that's good.
Mhm.
Um, we, well, first of all, Black lives definitely matter. I
Right.
mean, the reason why it's so stressed is because growing up, you don't really, you don't really hear that, or you don't really know that. So what needs to be told is that you are king. You know, you are smart. You are intelligent. You know, your life matters. You know, so with the movement in the Black Lives Matter, I believe in it. You know, I believe in it for the positive things, not for the negative things, not for the clout, not for the people that's going out there and protesting. What was really impressive to me is when we had that Million Man March down here in Columbia, and how many of us came together,
Right.
and it was a positive. It was positive results. It wasn't no looting. It wasn't no fighting the cops. It wasn't
Right.
no doing anything that was disrupting the neighborhoods. So I definitely believe in that. Now I'm not for the fighting the cops, but I'm definitely not for the cops killing us. You
Right.
know, and I believe that our skin color breeds intimidation, and with them being intimidated at some points, they then sort of stereotype us, and with them stereotyping us, the only thing they can do is kill us,
It's killers.
and that's the 80%. I mean, some things are unnecessary. 8 times, you shooting a man 8 times. Come on, I mean, your training should put you in a better mindset to say, okay, well, I want to disable him. I don't want to kill him. You
Right.
know, you putting your foot in you putting your knee on another man's neck and feeling his spirit leave his body.
Hmm.
You understand that? You putting your knee on a man's neck and you feeling his spirit leave his body. You that 80%. I understand. I understand that you're white, but regardless of any color, you 80%. You bad.
You
So
bad.
I understand. I understand it's good and it's bad. I don't put a color on it. I just put what you are. So and I'm not saying I'm the perfect angel in no way. I'm not perfect. But I strive to just try to be a decent dude. I'm not gonna and integrity is everything to me. I always think about, like, regardless if you watching or regardless if I always think about, like, would this be right or wrong, and is this right or wrong when I'm in a situation by myself, and
Right.
if I feel it's right, I try to make the best decisions. I do, but the Black Lives Matter movement, I'm for in a positive way. The negative things that come out of it, I'm not really about. Um, the cops brutality, because I think that our skin color fit. I think that our skin color breeds fear, and I believe that it breeds intimidation, and I believe that it brings stereotypical situations, and I also believe that sometimes it's a fear of them thinking that we're gonna eventually put them in a similar situation that we were in. But
Right.
other than that, I just want a hug, B. So I'm just giving free hugs out.
Yeah. And I wish we had more positive individuals out there like you. Like I said, Mike, I always did see you as that type of person. When I first met you, as a positive individual. So just remain humble and who you are and strive for greatness. You know what I mean? There's no limit to the things that we can succeed on. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us, Mike, before we see if we got any comments out there?
um, uh,
No?
uh, Not really. It's your interview.
Okay.
So
Let's
I'm doing whatever. Okay.
I'm seeing I see Stacy says same way with her when she moved from Chicago. She was raised to say yes, ma'am. She wasn't raised to say yes, ma'am, and yes, sir, and she was always in trouble. So I can imagine it is a culture shock, moving from the city to what we considered a little country town of
Mm-hmm.
Cordova. Let's see. I think that's pretty much. They were saying Uncle Tom and Coonan. Was that the word you were talking about?
Most of the Uncle Tom, not really cooning. I think they call white people coons. They was calling black people. They was calling me an Uncle Tom.
Yeah, that's okay. That's what
That's,
they said. They said Uncle Tom, and then somebody said Coonan. But
yeah.
wow, but you stood your ground and you didn't let people take you to a negative level or whatever. So kudos to you, Mike. As
Yeah.
a father, of a black child,
Mhm.
like, what conversation would you have with him if he was of age right now?
I don't even know what I would have with him of age. I know what I have with him right now. I know what I'm trying to prepare him for his future. So my mindset is never the future of it. My mindset is now. Like, being an active dad every day is kind of a new day. And one thing that me and my fiance always talk about is us loving someone so much is kind of scary. Like, with us having a son, is like the only thing we want to do is make sure that he's okay.
Right.
I'm not talking about financially. I'm not talking
No, no, no.
about,
I get
you
it.
know, yeah, just physically, like, and not anybody ever, not anyone ever messing up that that good spirit, that
Mm,
innocentness. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you have a child, and it's so crazy, like we're dealing with daycare sometimes, you have to trust them with your kid, and with having to trust them with your kid is kind of like saying, okay, well, I'm gonna kill you if you mess with my kid.
Mhm. I
Like,
get it.
I'm not, I'm not in the understanding place of just like, you did something to my son and there's a video about it. Nah, you did something to my son and there's a video of you seeing me on TV with my hands behind my back, smiling for the mugshot.
Yeah.
Like, that's just what it is. So, um, the idea of him growing up is scary. It's really scary because the love is so deep,
Mm.
and I've been a law-abiding citizen all my life. That's the only thing that I think that can take me into another place.
Yeah.
So that's what so it's scary. So I just try to make sure that I just focus on giving him positive energy and then let him know what's right and what's wrong, and eventually he grows up to be a great citizen. And I believe that, has God how God protected me, I know that He's going to protect him in the same way. And if he doesn't, that's just that's just God's plan.
That's plan. That's life. Yeah, you're right.
Mhm.
I see El Ray said harder for males than females to a certain
Say it one
point.
more time.
He said harder
What
for
is
males than females.
what does that mean? What does he mean by that?
I'm assuming you're saying, El Ray, with everything that's going on in the society that we live in, correct me if I'm wrong. We'll just wait for him to respond. But that's what I'm assuming he's saying. But I think to a certain level, just
I don't,
different, yeah, different situations. But it's still kind of hard for us females out here as well.
and I don't, and who's that said that? I'm sorry. What was his name?
El Ray.
Yeah, El Ray. I really don't put a gender on life. I mean, everybody has their struggles, and I know that sometimes it can seem like it's hard, but I mean, trust me, everybody. I mean, white, black, green, female, male, we all got our struggles. We all deal with our own personal issues. So, I mean, you can't never measure what's harder or what's easier for this person, that person. You just need to focus on individual yourself, and not to say that you're not. I'm not saying that you're not,
You just
but that
speaking in
comment.
general.
I'm sorry.
I say you're just speaking in general, not to anyone
Yeah, I'm
specifically.
just speaking in general. You just need to focus on yourself and try to make your life as prosperous as it could be.
Right.
Don't compare.
That's true. That's a true statement. Well, Mike,
Mhm.
again, I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you sharing your story. Honestly, I didn't know it was going to go that deep, so kudos to you for really giving us a background on you and sharing your real life. Appreciate that. And as I always say, people, if it's someone out there that feel like your story you want to share, please inbox me. We can tell this story together. You know, it may help someone else. You just never know. So don't think your story is nothing to be told. If you went through something, let's share that with the people. Let's help our generation, our younger generation. Elroy said drugs rule though these young men at the moment. Um,
And listen to this. Listen to this. The world goes round and round. Crack ruled my mom. You know, heroin ruled the 80s.
yeah,
It's regardless of what happens, it goes round and round. You just have to individualize yourself and anybody that's with you and put them on the best path you can put them on.
yeah,
Like, it's always going to be something. It's never going to be an easy situation. I don't think if that's the case, it's the success rate and the poverty rate won't even be a rate. Everybody will be successful, or everybody would be,
right.
or everybody would be not successful. So I don't. So El Ray, what's his name?
El Ray.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So El Ray, forget the negative, forget the drug rate and everything else. If everybody just individualized themselves and focused on themselves, I promise you, the world will be a better place.
That's so
And
true.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to dismiss what's really going on in the world. I just believe in holding yourself accountable, and just success comes from just always pushing the envelope and never really just paying attention to everything else that's going on around you unless it's something positive.
Right.
I'm sorry, El Ray. I still love you, bro.
Look, he said true statement. He understands. It's always positivity on Let's Sip and Talk, Mike. We don't tolerate we keep it real. But that's true, because that's where a lot of us mess up at. We're always, whether it's something large or small, we're always worrying about the next person, when we still need to work on ourselves. We need to work with our children to make sure they understand what's going on, to make sure they're a better version of themselves. So like you said, if we stop focusing on the negative and what's going on out there, and make sure our household and ourselves are doing what we have to do, it's one by one, household by household, we can make this thing a little better than what it is. But it'll never be perfect. Never be perfect.
Yeah, and understand, everybody is on this thing. I'm by no means a perfect individual. I mean, me and my fiance argue sometimes when it comes down to discipline my son. I can take it overboard, and and sometimes I can not even be at work when it comes down to supervising my my employees or my coworkers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I sometimes don't make the best decisions or the right decisions.
Right.
But I still try to strive to be a better person every day. So for nobody that's on this, please don't think that Mike is acting like he did. Nah, not at all. I'm just speaking what's on heart. That's it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Well, I thank everyone for tuning in. Mike, again, I really do appreciate this. Make sure y'all share, because this was definitely a story that needs to be told. People can learn from this. He said a lot of good things that need to be heard. A lot of self-love going on here. We love it. We appreciate it. And everybody, as we always say, peace and love. All right.
Thank you, Freeman. Good job too. Keep on doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much.